at this equation right here, what is the first thing we're going to graph? The first thing we're going to graph is going to be this plus 2 right here. What are we going to graph that plus 2 on? The y-axis. So I'm going to highlight my y-axis, and then I'll drop a point on that plus 2. Now, looking at this 1 right here, are we going to go up or down? We're going to go up because it's positive. And then we'll go up and to the right. So we're going to go up 1 and over 2. So I move up 1 and then over 1, 2, and put a point right here. And I'm going to keep doing that to make my line a little bit prettier on my paper. And then I'll connect my lines. Oh, hello. All right, next one. So taking a look, what is the first thing I'm going to graph? The first thing I'm going to graph is going to be this -3 right here. Where am I going to graph that -3 at? On the y-axis. So I'm going to highlight the y-axis, drop a point right there on -3. All right, based off of this, are we going to go up or down? We're going to go down, and then we'll go to the right too. Okay, so I'm going to move down 5. But wait, hold on, I can't do that. So now, the only option that I have to go is up. But since I'm changing down to up, what do I have to change right to? Left. So I'm going to actually go up 5 and then to the left 2. So I'll go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then to the left 1, 2. Put a dot right there. All right, we'll do our best to connect our dots. We'll see how this goes. All right, perfect. Okay, for the next one, what is the first thing I'm going to graph? First thing we're going to graph is going to be that -4. Where am I going to graph that at? On the y-axis. So I'm going to highlight my y-axis, drop a point right there on -4. Now, taking a look at our slope right here, we have to graph fractions. So how do I turn this into a fraction? I put it over 1. All right, based off of this, am I going up or down? Up and to the right. Okay, going up because it's positive. So we're going to move up 1, 2, 3, and then over to the right 1. So 1, 2, 3, right 1, right there. I'm going to keep going with that so that I can graph the best line that I possibly can. And then we'll connect our points. All right, this one says to find the equation of a graph. Now remember, we have y equals mx plus b. To find m, we do what over what? Rise over run. And then to find b, where's b at? B is on the y-axis. Now, remember, we find b first. So I have y equals blank x plus blank. All right, so we find b, so we highlight our y-axis. I'm going to drop a point right there where it crosses to the y-axis, which is right here. That right there is 5, so my b is 5. Then, what do I have to do next? I find my next point where it crosses through the corner of a square. So I'm going to trace my finger along my line from point to point until it crosses through the corner of a square. There is the corner of a square right there. So I'm going to drop a point right there. All right, and then it's rise over run. Which direction do I always go? I always move to the right. So I'm going to go right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to go up or down. I'm going to go down, so this is going to be negative. And I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, remember this is rise over run. So my rise is -5, and my run is 4. All right, for the next one, we're dealing with y equals mx plus b, so we have y equals blank x plus blank. All right, what's my first step? First step, I'm going to highlight my y-axis. I'm going to figure out where it runs into my line. So it runs in right here, which is -1. Okay, from there, what do I do next? I find the next point where it crosses the corner of a square. So I'm going to drag my finger along my line, and it crosses through right here, so we'll drop a dot right there. All right, which direction do we always go? We always go to the right, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. And then I'm going to move up or down from there. I'm going to go up, so this is going to be positive, and I went up 1. Now remember, m equals what over what? M equals rise over run, which would be 1/4. All right, next one, it says to find the equation of a line, so I'm dealing with y equals mx plus b, or y equals blank x plus blank. Okay, what's my first step? Highlight that y-axis. What number goes through that y-axis? That -6 that's right there. Now, is -6 going to be m or b? -6 is going to go in for b, so I'll drop that right there. What's my next step? My next step is to find the next point where it crosses the corner of a square. So I'm going to take my line, and I'm going to drag it, and it passes through the corner of a square right there. So I got a point here and a point here. All right, which direction do we always go? I always go to the right. So I'm going to start with this dot right here and move it to the right. I went to the right once, and then from here, do I go up or down? I go down. 1, 2, 3. Now, since I went down, is that positive or negative? Negative. So it's -3. M equals what over what? Rise over run. So my rise is -3, and my run is 1. Well, that can be simplified. -3 divided by 1 just gives me -3. All right, so this one says to find the equation of the table. So I'm dealing with y equals blank x plus blank, okay? Y equals mx plus b. All right, first thing I do when I see a table is I draw some arrows. So on the left side over here, I see a negative right here, and I want to avoid that negative, so I'm going to go here with 0 and 2. And so since I drew a line from 0 to 2, I'm also going to draw a line from -8 to -12. On the right side, what am I going to subtract? I'm going to subtract my bottom number, which is -12, minus my top number, which is -8. Well, if we look right here, we have two negatives that are right next to each other. What happens if we have two negatives right next to each other? They change into a positive. So now I have -12 plus 8. And are those same signs or different signs? Different signs. Different signs add or subtract. Subtract. So I do 12 minus 8, which gives me 4. And then I keep the sign of the bigger number, so that's -4. On the left side, what do I subtract? I subtract my bottom number, which is 2, minus my top number, which is 0. So I have 2 minus 0, which just gives me 2. All right, M is what side over what side? Right over left. Well, what's on my right side? -4. What's on my left side? 2. So I have -4 divided by 2. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. And then 4 divided by 2 is 2. Okay, how do I find B? B is across from where x equals 0. So I'm going to highlight all of my x values. And then here's 0 right here. So 0 is where x equals 0 is -8. So my B is -8. All right, next one, we're dealing with finding an equation of a table again. So I have y equals blank x plus blank. Now, on the right side over here, these are all positives. On the left side, it's all negatives except for that last little one right there. So I'm going to draw my arrows here so I don't have to deal with as many negatives. Okay. On my right side, what am I going to subtract? 19 minus 16. Well, what's 19 minus 16? 3. On the left side, what am I going to subtract? I have 0 minus -1. Well, what happens when we have two negatives right next to each other? They change into a positive. So now I have 0 plus 1, which gives me 1. And then it's what side over what side? Right over left. So I would have 3 over 1, which equals 3. How do I find b? b is across from where x equals 0. So I'm going to draw down here. There's where x equals 0 right there. And where x equals 0, we have 19. So our y-intercept is 19. This one says to find the equation of a table. So I have y equals blank x plus blank. We draw our arrows. I see no negatives here, so I'm just going to go with row 1. On that right side, what do I subtract? I do 6 minus 4, and 6 minus 4 gives me 2, okay? And then on that left side, what do I subtract? I would do 6 minus 3, which gives me 3. All right, m is what side over what side? Right over left, so I would have 2 over 3. Then I have to find my b. Well, how do we find b? b is across from where x equals 0. Well, if we look at our x's, I don't see any x's equaling 0. So I'm going to go through this pretty slow again. Okay, so on this left side, on the right side, on the right side, we're adding 2 each time. 4 plus 2 gives me 6, 6 plus 2 gives me 8, 8 plus 2 gives me 10, and then 10 plus 2 gives me 12. On the left side, to get from 3 to 6, we're adding 3, adding 3 to get from 6 to 9, adding 3 to get from 9 to 12, and adding 3 to get from 12 to 15. Well, I need to figure out where x equals 0. So this time, I'm not going to add 3. I'm going to move backwards and subtract off 3. Well, if I subtract off 3 from that left side, what am I going to subtract off from the right side? 2. So I would do 4 minus 2, which would give me 2. So this is going to be 2. All right, last one. It says to fill in the table for y equals 6x minus 3. So remember with this, I have all of my x values right here. I just go through and plug them in. So I have y equals 6 times whatever goes in there minus 3. Well, what goes into that blank? Negative 2. All right, so 6 times negative 2, I have a positive times a negative, so that gives me a negative. So I've got negative 12 minus 3. Same signs or different signs? Same signs, add or subtract? Add. So I have 12 plus 3, which gives me 15. Then I keep the sign of the bigger number, so that's negative 15. All right, for the next one, still dealing with the same thing. We've got y equals 6 times x minus 3. Well, in this case, what goes into that blank? Negative 1. So I'm going to put negative 1 into the blank right there. We start with 6 times negative 1. Same signs or different signs? Different signs. So, sorry, wrong thing. A positive times a negative is a negative. So 6 times 1 gives me 6, and then I still have my minus 3. Same signs or different signs? Same signs. Same signs, add or subtract? Add, and then I keep the sign of the bigger number, so I have negative 9. For the next one, dealing with the same thing, I have y equals 6 times x minus 3. Well, what goes in for my blank? In for my blank, sorry about that. In for my blank would go 0. So I would put a 0 right there where that blank is. Well, 6 times 0 gives me 0 minus 3. Well, you subtract anything off of 0, that's just going to give that same number, so it's going to be negative 3. Next one, we have y equals 6 times x minus 3. And what's going in for my x this time? 1. So we start with 6 times 1, and 6 times 1 is 6, minus 3. 6 minus 3 is 3. We have y equals 6 times x minus 3. And then what's going in for my x this time? 2. So I have 6 times 2, which gives me 12, and then 12 minus 3, and 12 minus 3 is 9.